Hey there, guys. BATJAC J W. Yeah, tune in. Another chat box. Get to chatting with you guys and doing stuff. So, just figure turn on the recorder and yeah, why not? So we got the brand new radio show coming out. 129, 129 of those things. Those of you already have tuned in right here and have already listened to it, so that's really cool that everybody able to tune in there. Let's see, got some nice comments there. Yeah, Scott F actually wrote in, says it's crazy how folks will hijack your videos, and yeah, it is kind of strange. I remember when that happened to me, where I remember it was some time back, but somebody had literally taken a whole bunch of my videos and made a channel of their own with all my stuff. It just boggles my mind that somebody would actually go through that much work to take something from somebody else or steal somebody's video, somebody's content, and it's like, really, you go through that kind of a trouble to do so, but yet it's like, why don't you just do your own content? Why don't you come up with something on your own and be creative and do something? But I guess that's just the way it is. It doesn't. It happened recently to my fellow friend and YouTuber, the Real Cobra Burnout, and so that's why I kind of wanted to bring it to light, because when this happened to me, a lot of you guys went after that channel. And I remember it happened to me like twice or something, but yeah, Edward Petty, I guess he is a Glock 19. Didn't know that. Interesting. But yeah, if you guys know that I have gotten I talked about it and showed a little bit on it. That Glock 34, that long slide. So I did a video already, and some of you have seen it, some of you that are subscribed to me in the right places, and other I guess, what do you call it, platforms or other places, you've seen it already. So it's just I've not done anything with it yet for the main channel, other than it has now made an appearance in 129 radio show. So those of you that actually watched a radio show on the main channel, there you'll see it, but an actual video on it with all the close-up details and everything like that have not hit the main channel yet. But one of the things I really wanted to show in that video that I did do a review for it was I wanted to show the real comparison in size-wise, because there's so many people I feel like were just scared of the thing, or didn't know how to, they passed judgment on it when, it's really not that large of a gun. For me it isn't. I like full-size stuff, but it's not that much more different than a 1911 government model. So it's something I wanted to really show. So I really wanted to show it side comparison to the slide, to the barrel, to all that stuff. So, and as you guys know, I've been actually setting up my a minor reloading gig here, and I actually been more fond of these smaller presses that I've been messing with. Of course, you guys know I have that handheld Lee press, which is such a thing to have. I tell you, no matter what, all through this time, I've bought the Dillon 650 is the biggest, most expensive press I got, is the Dillon 650. I don't have it set up right now. Maybe in the future I will get it going and get it cranking, and it is definitely a time saver for sure, especially if you're doing something that you're just it's a round that you're blasting a lot. Like for me, a lot of it was 9mm. Especially, but for me as a shooter, I noticed throughout time it has changed so much. I'll get into it. It's like usually it's whatever gun I got, and I'm really into shooting it at that moment, and it really is like it's like been like this fad thing for me. You know, it went from I was shooting a lot of 45 Colt. Man, I was like, oh, you just got those cowboy guns. I was so obsessed with shooting it all the time. So I was like constantly blasting and blasting and blasting. I was making tons of that stuff. And then it just kind of fades away from me, and then I kind of lose interest in it for a bit, and then I go to something else. Then it's 44 Special. Well, I start loading a lot of 44 Special, or a 38 Special, or or 45 ACP because I bought a new 1911. It's just, then that's it, and then it's just a fad that I will go through for a little bit, and I'll load and shoot, load and shoot, load and shoot, and then I'll get sick of it. And then I'll get sick of the gun, and or something like that. I know it sounds bad, but and then I'll just put it up. But this kind of goes back to you try to get really good with one, and that's what I need to try to do with this Glock 34. Mainly because my job and everything, what I do, and so I'm carrying it and using it. So I have to pass qualifications once a month. Which it was nice to see that when I did qualify with it, it was just amazing. I really like the way the thing shoots. So for all intents and purposes, for my job, it works out great. That was the only interest for me with it, and that's odd because I usually don't. It totally goes against the grain of my gun buying. It really does. I don't buy a gun for that reason, and this was one that I bought for my job. So my job right now currently is important to me because it provides me a really decent paycheck for what I do, and keeps me afloat out here in the middle of the desert. It keeps me above the sand, I guess, versus being on the island above water. But as Roy Scheider said, it's only an island if you look at it from the water. So, but yeah. Anyhow, interesting thing. I wanted to bring this to light because this is really weird. So I had, of course, I discovered and further got into Amazon Prime again, and I think it's worth it for me because I love ordering DVDs and stuff like that. So, as a fan, I'm a fanatic about buying movies and watching movies. I don't know. It's just something. That's just what I do. I love it, and my thrill for me is going out and buying movies. It's cheap enough to where it's a good hobby. It's definitely better for me financially, and as far as everything else, better than building a gun collection right now, because the movies are easily to be transported, and if I ever have to move somewhere else or whatever, like I said, if I have to pick up and move, they're easy. I throw them all in a box and ship it media mail. Well, I can't really do that with a firearm, so it gets a little bit more complicated when you got FFL and transfer and all that kind of stuff. So been trying to minimize that. But no, I love collecting DVDs. It's something, I love movies. So ever since I was just young as I can possibly remember, I had a really amazing VHS collection. So that as I kicked myself, I really should have kept some of those because I had some really cool ones that were unique, clamshell cases and bigger box cases, like almost like a book and whatnot. I really should have kept some of those. So anyway, here's what recently happened. I had bought this copy of Death Wish 2, and it's they released it on Blu-ray. And now for me, growing up with VHS, something like Blu-ray is pretty big because I never really got to see these movies in that kind of quality, which is a pretty high definition quality for me coming from VHS. So this is like some special edition one that they did, and what really intrigued me to it was the fact that they have in it, there's a unrated version of the film. And always that kind of stuff piques my interest. It piques my ears, and that's what I always look for. And coming from somebody that has watched the movie on videotape or on TV, at first time or so whatever. So I always like. So to me, a lot of times it's like watching a brand new movie all over again. especially if it's in high definition. For me to watch a John Wayne movie in high definition is like, wow. It really is special to me because I never got to see it like that before. So it makes it just all that much more cool to do. But anyhow, so this thing has a, this special edition of Death Wish 2. It's got the unrated version and all that. So I'm like, oh, okay, check this out. So I ordered it on Amazon. And what I did was actually I ordered it from one of those sellers that was selling it used. I was trying to avoid paying a whole bunch of money for it. So the bottom line came down to it, and this is, for me, this is pretty expensive. If I'm spending this kind of money on it, it means I really want the movie. But it was $16.99. So after shipping and everything, you're talking near the $20 mark. We're still under 20 at $19, I think, with shipping and everything. But it was still, that to me, that's a lot of money to spend on a DVD. When usually I buy them, I'll go to thrift stores, or I'll go to a pawn shop and pick up a whole stack and walk out of there with a stack of them for like $8, $5, $6, something like that. Or I'll go to Bookman's and pick it up for $5 or something, So, but, when it comes to Charles Bronson and whatnot, I'll spend the money, if it's something I really want. If I know I'm going to really enjoy it and watch it a whole bunch of times, I don't mind spending a little bit of cash on it. So I went ahead and bought it. So I got it in the mail. I'm all happy. I open it up, and I just can't wait to watch it. To me, it's like watching a whole new movie. Pop it in a DVD player or a Blu-ray player. It's kind of different. I'm so used to saying VCR, but pop it in the player, and it just wouldn't load. It sat there and just kind of didn't load. It didn't say, like, normally you'll get a big red X and it says, disc is unable to be played or something. It usually means something's wrong with the disc. It's like defective or something. But I didn't get that with this. It just wouldn't do anything. It just seized up. So I couldn't figure it out. I actually wrote the guy that sold it to me. I said, hey, this thing doesn't work. I don't know what to do. They wanted me to send it back to get my refund. And now, doing that, it's like, okay, so now I got to go get something to ship it in. Hopefully I can just scrounge out something, but if not, so then it's my time. I got to go back to the post office. I got to spend probably, $3-4, including, because the taxes is out here. The taxes is pretty high. By then, I'm really just looking at a refund of like $11-12, and it's like, really to go through all that, but I started thinking, but about the Blu-ray players. These things are like computers now. There's no longer are we living in this world of plug in and play kind of thing. Where I remember my parents got Atari, video game system. It was like literally plug into your TV and play it. Not anymore. A lot of times it changed. So I got to thinking about this. The Blu-ray player I got, I've had it for years, probably 10 years or longer. So the more I thought about it, I said, maybe I should go and try to get a new one. So I did. Today I went down to Target, which is near where I live anyway, so it's not too far. I went down there, spent a little bit of cash, and bought the Blu-ray player, a brand new one. Got it home, plugged it in, slammed that disc in there. Not literally, and it played. So it wasn't the disc. It was the player. You have to have these updated players, I guess. If you have one that's so old, I guess it just doesn't keep up with the newer discs. Now, then I've noticed that too with it. It's not the first movie it's done that to. I have a box set, the Phantasm films, and it won't play some of those. So now I got this new one, which is about like less than half the size of the one I used to have, or I still have it. I still keep it. It still works. But that's how I had to get it to work. Was a whole new, brand new player. And so interesting that's the way it works, the way it is now. I could tell you some funny stories. I'm not one of those gamer guys. I really don't know too much about the games, video games, I guess, but they do intrigue me to a point. where especially like I was watching these previews for this World War II type game, and I love that kind of stuff because it's like, wow, you get me in 1911s and M1 Garands and Tommy guns and M130 carbines, and it's just like my favorite type of guns. So I'm seeing this video game being advertised when I was in Best Buy or something, one of those places. I said, wow, what is that? So I go and ask one of the guys at the desk or something. Oh, that's a video game coming out. Wow, okay. How does that work? What do I need? Oh, you need this system. Oh, okay. So long story short, I buy the system and didn't realize that, well, the game is not going to come out until months later. I think, So I'm sitting there with this system in its box. I bought it, and I didn't open it because there's no point. The game is not going to come out. I know nothing about how these games work. So when the game finally came out, I'm going through and trying to set this all up and try to put it to the TV. And you would think, I'm not stupid, but I know how to hook up a DVD player and a VCR. And I remember my dad used to hook up 2 VCRs to the thing, and we'd copy the tape because back when I was collecting a lot of these VHS tapes, we weren't too savvy with the internet. We weren't too savvy with ordering it from the internet. We were always trying to find it locally, and that's kind of all we knew. Or we'd go to Blockbuster and try to see if they could special order it for us. A lot of times, me being impatient, I'm still impatient. I'm trying to sit there wait, and it was like, I don't know, just couldn't get certain stuff. But anyhow, I'm sitting there all night trying to hook up this game system to my TV. Was unsuccessful. It literally took me a week of trial and error of trying, because I would get so frustrated trying to connect it that I would just give up. Anyway, I finally got it all set up. I attempt to play this thing. I could not play it. I could not. It's really cool for what little I did get to experience with it. It's really neat. It's a long way from Duck Hunt and Mario and Pong and all that stuff that I had when I was just a kid, and with my mom and stuff. And she used to play Mario a lot, and it's a far cry from a lot of that stuff, and it's no longer plug in and play these days. It really is. And I found out after talking to other people that were more savvy about those things than I am, they say you got to update that thing. It's like a computer. Oh boy. Okay. Well, yeah. That was, trying to figure all that out was not easy on me. That's why, like, when I started this whole YouTube bit, a lot of my friends that knew me really, know me for a long time. They said, "Wow, wow, BATJAC, that's a pretty big leap for you, because how'd you figure all that out?" I said, "I don't know. I just kind of followed directions slowly and did it." The same way with doing this audio recording for you guys. I had this recorder for a while before I could even figure out how to do this. I really couldn't figure out how to do this audio recording, which I really wanted to do, but I couldn't figure it out. I really couldn't. It took me a while to actually sit there and mess with it, and it does. Anything technical, computer-wise or electronic stuff like that, it just frustrates me. I'm not that kind of person. I am just too much, I guess, from the time of videotapes and analog stuff. I guess I don't know. It's hard for me to. I remember when I had my VHS collection, and they were doing away with it, and they were really. I remember when DVDs came out. I remember going to Walmart and seeing this glass case with like 10 titles, and they were just in that glass case, and they were so expensive. It was like, I remember it was like, wow, what is that? That's like, it was so special. It was such a thing. And I said, no, you can keep it. I'll stick with my VHS. Well, long and behold, they phased out VHS completely. You can't even go and buy a videotape brand new anymore, really, unless you find it in a thrift store. It's shelved in the back next to a section where it's like, yeah, nobody wants to buy those. I still buy them. Sometimes if I'm shopping around, I'll check out, like if I'm going to a Goodwill or something, I'll still check out their VHS collection, because if there's a movie in there that's on VHS, it's something that I remember, I will buy it just for the nostalgia of it. And usually they're only like 50 cents, something like that. So, yeah, that's just me. I'll still buy it. So, but yeah. Anyway, I also did that Throwback Thursday video for you. We always flip through a magazine or something like that and check it out. There was actually one I did. I never did post it. There was a Throwback Thursday magazine I did, and it wasn't as old as the ones I've been doing, like the 70s, 80s. It was more like mid 90s. And I remember doing the video, and there wasn't anything in there to strike my interest. There was hardly anything in there to strike my interest, and it was such a boring video that I felt like, oh, this is kind of silly, because I just really didn't have it. I didn't come across anything that I was like, wow, that's so cool. But it's just not. I just didn't. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of, yeah, this sucks. So I scrapped the video. I was like, no, this is not going up. That's just me. I just don't. I'm not a guy that's into a lot of the modern stuff. So many of people, I guess I'm that old guy inside the younger body. I always say it. I'm growing up in the wrong generation. I belong, I belong a lot of decades, before. I guess that makes sense. But, yeah, because I don't know. I just don't have that. That's the other thing. It's like, too, it's interesting. Living in Hawaii, there's they have a magazine restriction. You can't have anything more than 10 rounds. That never bothered me. I could care less. Everything I was interested in was, a revolver, which held 6 shots, or a 1911, that's 7-round magazine. The only time the 10-rounders ever affected me was if there was ever, like, really something that I kind of was interested in, but, it was, like, difficult to get it because it was, a 10-rounder. And I remember having that when I was trying to buy my Glock 23. They didn't have the 10-rounder available to ship to Hawaii. I remember that. That was one time it affected me, which I didn't like, and it had nothing to do with the fact that I wanted 14 rounds. I could care less about that. It was the fact that I couldn't get the gun because there wasn't one with the 10-round magazines available. I even told my the guy I was trying to order it from, the FFL. I said, tell him to send it without the magazines. I'll just buy the magazines off of Midway or something. Get some 10-rounder magazines for it. Something like that. So, I don't know. It just, but other than that, just never really, I could really, it's like, well, okay, well, it doesn't really bother me or appeal to me. So, but yeah, I just always been into older stuff, and, this, like, it's weird, like, for me, buying this Glock 34 for the purpose of it being what it is, it was the first time I really I can actually think of that I've done that, because most of the time when I buy a gun, it's literally because of a movie. But I've gotten to that point now where I've bought them all that was really influential and something that I really just had to have. It's like, okay, I got my Dirty Harry gun, I got my Colt Diamondback because of Brannigan, and I got a really cool Colt 1911 because it's just that's Colt 1911. I got that green one because I saw it in The Hunter with Steve McQueen, 1980. It's just like, I got my Walther PBK because of James Bond. I got my cowboy gun because of John Wayne, and it's just like, that's it. It just kind of, and I got my high standard shotgun because of the Getaway movie, with Steve McQueen, Ally McCraw, directed by Sam Peckinpah. It's like I got it. That's it, and that's it. It just kind of ends that way for me. It just I don't. There's no other interest. So there's just no other draw to it. That's my interest to guns, movies. So it has ended. There's really that I've kind of got. There's very little guns now I mean they're cool. Look at them, yeah, it's cool. But for me to actually go as far as purchasing it now, and owning it, and it's just there's very very little. There's hardly anything I really want. I enjoy what I have. Enjoy having what I have, and that's it. I've kind of hit that wall, and like I said, the Glock 34 was strictly a job thing. If it wasn't for the job, really wouldn't have had it. I wouldn't have it. I mean, I know I wouldn't have it. Period. It's just not something I needed, other than a job. That's it. But yeah. Unfortunately, the other thing is I won't be able to appear too much in Santee's videos because our schedules now don't line up. So yeah, before it was easier because I could do stuff like that. But now with the I pretty much live at work. I'm at work all the time, so really don't have time to do anything else. And I guess when I do have my time off, I spend it watching my movies and hitting up Barnes and Noble or tracking down some DVDs, and that all will take up a couple hours of my day or 3 hours, and that's it. I'm spent. I'm going back home with a bundle full of junk food and go watch the movies. But yeah, so, or just make myself a lunch and go do it. Pick up a Subway sandwich or something and head back and watch a movie. That's it. And that's, to me, that's a nice relaxing time off, and I'm good to go. So, but yeah. Anyway, it's nice to chat with you guys and get going, I guess. But yeah, I'll also be stay tuned because I'm of course I'm setting up this little reloading bit, more of a smaller reloading stuff and all that. Always keep your reloading stuff. If you're ever a reloader, don't ever just try to box it up, because I tell you, it's like that comment said. I think it was 454 Packer. Man, that stuff will nickel and dime you to death. It really will. So buying it, getting it all started, and keeping it all organized and contained is much more cheaper than having to go back and rebuy a lot of stuff because you lost it, like me. So I'll get you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in and listening to the chat box.